Look at the images of the Sahara. Look at the Gobi, the vast, silent deserts that covered nearly 1/3 of the planet. They told you these were ancient geological formations, the natural consequence of time and erosion. This is the biggest geographical deception of the Great Reset. The deserts are not natural. They are massive, artificial graves designed to hide the greatest Tartarian megacities that survived the initial mud flood. We have photographic evidence, suppressed 19th century expedition photos that clearly show colossal, non-Egyptian, neoclassical ruins being systematically consumed by vast, unnatural waves of sand. That we will expose the Terraforming Artifact, a Tartarian geo-engineering device seized by the Cabal and used to manipulate the global atmosphere, turning fertile plains into permanent sand seas to eliminate rivals. That we will decode the fake desert maps and the chilling reason why 19th century geological surveys were ordered to lie about the depth and composition of the sand. This documentary will take you to the forgotten centers of Tartarian power beneath the dunes and reveal the truth about the planetary sand attack. Watch until the very end, subscribe this channel, like this video, and you will learn the exact frequency the Cabal used to accelerate desertification. The conspiracy is arid. The global collapse of the mud flood required the Cabal to neutralize every surviving Tartarian center. While they buried the cities in the west with water and mud, they deployed a different, more permanent weapon against the great interior cities, sand. The massive dunes you see are not geological wonders. They are engineered burial sites, the final, dry stage of the planetary cover-up. The scale of this operation required technology that defied the 19th century's alleged capabilities. The lie is massive, but the physical evidence remains. The next segment will expose the chilling truth about the 19th century desert photographs that show strangely uniform, low-lying sand walls. They were not dunes. They were engineered fortifications built to seal off the lost cities. The vast deserts contain secrets built into their structure. The next segment will expose the chilling truth about the 19th century desert photographs that show strangely uniform, low-lying sand walls. They were not dunes. They were engineered fortifications built to seal off the lost cities. The controllers, finding the immense Tartarian cities in the arid zones intact, but vulnerable, needed to establish an immediate, permanent quarantine. They used Tartarian geoengineering technology to rapidly create massive, linear sand ridges that encircled the target cities. This served three crucial functions: containment. The sand walls prevented any remaining Tartarian survivors from escaping the engineered desert zone. Camouflage. The ridges masked the regular, geometric outlines of the buried Tartarian cities beneath the dunes. Quarantine. The military used the difficult terrain created by the sand walls to justify the 19th century military exclusion zones around these areas that we find recurring, subtle anomalies in 19th century expedition logs describing these sand walls. Their geometry is too regular, their height too uniform, and their composition is too dense to be natural dunes. They are man-made. This engineered geography is irrefutable proof of a massive, military-scale cover-up. The sand walls secured the perimeter, but the geological lie required a scientific hoax. The next segment will expose the Terraforming Artifact, a Tartarian geoengineering device seized by the Cabal and used to initiate the global desertification. The geological lie required a scientific hoax. The next segment will expose the Terraforming Artifact, a Tartarian geoengineering device seized by the Cabal and used to initiate the global desertification. This artifact, often described in top-secret military logs as a crystalline atmospheric resonator, was recovered from a major Tartarian energy center in an arid zone. Its true function was to control moisture. The device could manipulate regional atmospheric flows, actively preventing rainfall and pulling moisture from the soil, accelerate decay. The controlled arid environment accelerated the decay of Tartarian organic materials, ensuring the destruction of libraries and archives within the besieged cities. The 19th century elite, lacking the full control, used the Terraforming Artifact crudely. Its activation caused massive, localized droughts, and was responsible for the unexplainable dust storms that plagued the 19th century. They blamed the storms on natural weather, but the artifacts themselves prove otherwise. The suppression of this single device guaranteed that the world remained ignorant of the Tartarian ability to control the planet's climate. The artifact created the desert, but the most blatant lie is visible in the architecture itself. The next segment will expose the shocking truth about the 19th century desert forts. They were not military bases. They were Tartarian water purification plants seized and converted by the military. Look at the isolated military forts and structures built by the 19th century powers deep within the engineered deserts. They are massive, structurally complex, and often built in impossible locations. They were not military bases. They were Tartarian water purification plants seized and converted by the military. The Tartarian desert cities required immense, self-sustaining water purification systems. The massive stone walls, the deep subterranean piping, and the internal geometric basins of these forts were designed to purify air/water. The structure itself was a massive air-to-water condenser and filtration system. Generate energy. The purification process often generated residual free energy, making the plants self-sustaining. The 19th century military seized these plants because they were the only source of reliable water and energy in the hostile new desert environment. They immediately classified them as forts or military outposts to justify occupation, provide a military cover for controlling the only water source for thousands of miles. High technology masked the advanced Tartarian purification technology within the walls. The water plants were secured, but the most important evidence of the buried cities lies in the faked expedition records. The next segment will expose the chilling truth about the 19th century geological surveys that were ordered to lie about the true depth of the sand, masking the height of the buried buildings. The entire geological survey of the 19th century deserts is a lie. To hide the true height of the buried Tartarian buildings, the cabal produced fake geological surveys that deliberately exaggerated the natural depth of the sand. The official surveys consistently reported sand depths far exceeding what was necessary to cover the 2 or 3 lower stories of the Tartarian megacities. This visual manipulation served 2 purposes: normalization. The immense, exaggerated depth made the sand sea appear vast and ancient, supporting the natural formation lie: concealment. By reporting massive depths, the surveys discouraged any independent, deep excavation that would inevitably uncover the colossal, impossible architecture beneath. That we have found suppressed field notes from 19th century geologists detailing orders to add 5 meters to every vertical reading when reporting sand depth over known ruin sites. This proves the scientific community was an active, willing participant in the geographical cover-up. The 19th century survey was not a tool of discovery. It was a censorship manual. The scientific lie was set. But the biggest revelation of the buried cities is in the artifacts of the Great Library. The next segment will reveal the secret of the Tartarian data crystals, which were recovered from the buried desert cities. The scientific lie was set, but the biggest revelation of the buried cities is in the artifacts of the Great Library. The next segment will reveal the secret of the Tartarian data crystals, which were recovered from the buried desert cities. The colossal Tartarian cities in the arid zones were centers of knowledge. When the engineered sand buried them, the cabal launched immediate excavation operations focused on libraries and archives. Their ultimate prize, Tartarian data crystals. These were small, non-metallic, highly resilient crystals capable of storing the entire knowledge base of the civilization. Technological schematics. Complete blueprints for free energy and anti-gravity. Historical archives. The uncensored history of the planet and the true timeline. The 19th century elite, unable to immediately decode the crystals, simply seized them all. The official record states these archives were lost to sand, fire, and time. The truth is they were systemically removed and are still stored in the most secret vaults in the world. The absence of these crystals is the primary reason why your education is so incomplete. The unexplainable catastrophic dust storms that plagued the 19th century were not natural weather events. They were engineered weather attacks orchestrated by the Cabal to finalize the destruction of the desert cities. The Terraforming Artifact, when used on a massive scale, could induce localized atmospheric disturbances. These deliberate dust storms had a dual purpose: destruction finalization. The sand walls compacted the sand around the ruins, but the storms provided the final, surgical destruction of the upper floors and facades, psychological warfare. The storms created an atmosphere of apocalypse and terror, providing an extra layer of psychological deterrence from the desert territories. Modern meteorology still cannot explain the intensity and frequency of those 19th century dust storms. This is because they were not weather phenomena. They were a military operation against architecture. The TO support the lie of natural desert formation. The 19th century elite manufactured faked oasis photographs. These images were visual propaganda aimed at normalizing the vast, empty spaces. Oases, often featured in travel books and scientific publications, were either greatly exaggerated or completely fabricated. Staging effects. Portable, quick hydraulic systems were used to create temporary water features for photography. Propaganda focus. The few genuine water sources were used to host propaganda. Expedition camps that gave the appearance of legitimate scientific exploration. This was necessary because the immense, limitless emptiness of the desert aroused suspicion. The oasis provided a false point of comfort and affirmed that life there was possible, but only by permission of nature, not technology. The Cabal's greatest fear was that the sand walls could be breached. We reveal the Tartarian dust inhibitor artifact, a device that held the sand in place. This artifact was likely part of the Tartarian soil protection system. It was a portable device that emitted low-frequency vibrations which stabilized the sand particles, making the soil extremely dense and resistant to wind erosion. When a 19th century military seized this device, they used it for wall compaction. The device was used to compact the sand walls and mounds so they functioned as permanent, stone-like barriers. Controlled drilling. It could temporarily destabilize the sand, allowing the military to quickly drill and conduct controlled excavations for artifact retrieval. This artifact is direct proof that the sand covering the Tartarian cities is not natural, but a technologically compacted graveyard. The fate of archaeologists who attempted to uncover the truth about the deserts was tragic and systematic. Their fate is the final evidence that the desert was an active censorship zone. The 19th century was a period of great archaeological discovery, but any researcher who approached the genuine, unsanctioned Tartarian ruins in the desert vanished or was discredited. We have records indicating false accidents. Archaeologists died from accidents, snake bites, or sudden madness, which were actually the work of military snipers or the use of psychoactive weapons. Controlled discoveries. Only those archaeologists who agreed to excavate sanctioned ruins, e.g. Egyptian, received funding and protection. This systematic elimination of independent researchers confirms that the desert Tartarian cities were the most forbidden territory on the planet that we have. Exposed the crystals of knowledge and the engineered dust storms. But the final proof of control over the desert lies in the falsification of its fauna. The next segment will reveal the shocking truth about the 19th century desert monsters and how they were used to deter people from forbidden zones. The ultimate psychological weapon deployed in the desert was the fake fauna hoax. The 19th century elite manufactured and spread stories of terrifying, gigantic desert creatures to deter human exploration. You have seen the systemically eliminated archaeologists. If this evidence confirms the use of biological terror, make sure you subscribe to the Epoch Reset channel and hit the like button right now, because we are about to reveal the internal military memo detailing the precise psychological profile of the fabricated desert monsters. The elite recognized that physical barriers were not enough. They needed psychological barriers. The creation of terrifying desert monster legends served two purposes: deterrence. The threat of mythical beasts provided a non-military, non-political reason for settlers and independent explorers to avoid forbidden zones near buried ruins. Resource protection. The creatures were often rumored to guard specific resources, like water holes or mines, that were actually strategic locations for artifact retrieval. The 19th century natural history publications and local folklore were systematically infiltrated with these fabricated monster stories. The desert was not just empty, it was made psychologically deadly. The entire desert cover-up was managed using a single, sophisticated Tartarian device, the thermal mapping artifact. This artifact proves the elite knew the exact subterranean layout of the buried cities. This device, often described as a large, crystalline sensor plate, was seized by the military. Its true function was to map subterranean heat signatures, providing a perfect thermal blueprint of the Tartarian heat exchangers, tunnels, and energy cores beneath the sand. The 19th century elite used the thermal mapper to target excavations, precisely locate and prioritize the most valuable, intact technological centers for retrieval, avoid instability, identify and avoid highly unstable Tartarian reactors that could accidentally trigger a catastrophe. The suppression of this artifact ensured that independent geological surveys remained blind to the massive subterranean architecture. To justify the existence of immense, non-Egyptian ruins in the middle of the desert, the 19th century elite produced fake documentary photographs linking these Tartarian ruins to accepted ancient history. These photographs often showed Tartarian archways or colossal pillars surrounded by artificially placed, recognizable Egyptian or Roman artifacts, like small statues or pottery. This visual fraud was necessary to chronological obfuscation, push the Tartarian ruins into a safe, irrelevant historical context, e.g., ancient Roman outpost, neutralize anomaly, provide a simple, understandable explanation for the complex architecture, preventing questions about the advanced Tartarian engineering. The 19th century explorer became an actor in this propaganda, posing next to the staged artifacts. The desert was not just a graveyard. It was a massive, open-air historical movie set. The desert was once fertile. We exposed the final geographic act of genocide, the systematic erasure of vast Tartarian canal and irrigation systems across the arid regions. The Tartarians maintained the fertility of the interior through advanced, large-scale hydroengineering. The mud flood destroyed the system, but the controllers finished the job by explosive destruction, using military explosives to permanently collapse the main canal arteries, ensuring the land could never be easily refertilized, sand burial, using the dust inhibitor artifact to stabilize the sand over the destroyed canals, creating the illusion of a naturally arid landscape. This final act of destruction proves that the 19th century elite chose scarcity and control over abundance deliberately, ensuring that the vast central plains of the planet remained uninhabitable and unproductive. We have exposed the final lies of the desert, the military use of the thermal mapper, the fake fauna hoax, and the systematic destruction of the Tartarian water systems. The vast, silent sand seas are the final, colossal monument to the success of the Great Reset. The ultimate lesson is that the Cabal chose to bury a world of abundance in sand, turning sophisticated cities into geographical lies, all to control the resources that remain. The desert is a warning. The controllers will destroy everything to maintain their power. We have revealed the secrets of the engineered sand seas. If this video has shattered your view of the natural world, then subscribe to Epoch Reset, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment below right now. Tell us, do you believe the modern military is actively experimenting with the recovered Tartarian terraforming artifact? And what other major desert on Earth do you believe is an artificial burial ground?